I know this one. It's just a wedding podcast.
This episode is brought to you by Sound Precision Entertainment and Cufflink Media, Cleveland's best DJ, photo, and video team. When it comes to your big day, why juggle multiple vendors when you can have one amazing team? We're going to save you time, money, and stress because we're better together. From packed dance floors to photos and cinematic video, we've got you covered from I Do to The Last Dance. Book your wedding dream team today at spedj.com and cufflinkmedia.com. Find the links in the description below.
So what's going on, guys? We are back with another episode of the It's Just a Wedding podcast. How we doing? How we feeling, everybody?
It's just a wedding.
It's just a wedding.
Every time.
Every time. How you feeling there, Khadar?
I feel great. Happy to be here.
We are
Welcome on.
super excited. And before we even get into anything, we got to give you some flowers because you've been a pretty impressive guy here in the Cleveland market. So today we've got to take a minute to give some serious flowers to our guest, Khadar Sousou. If you've been to a wedding in Northeast Ohio in the last decade, chances are you felt his influence. As co-owner of Soaring Hospitality Group, Khadar has built some of the most iconic venues in the region, including the Aviator, Roma, and of course, Encore. What we love about Khadar is that he's not just opening doors, he's creating experiences. Every one of his venues has personality, a soul, and a sense of community that couples instantly connect with. He's redefined hospitality in Cleveland, turning spaces into stories and weddings into once-in-a-lifetime memories. Beyond the business side, Khadar has been a true partner to vendors like us and champions of the entire wedding industry. He brings people together, he elevates standards, and he's made Cleveland a destination for unforgettable events. So Khadar, this episode's for you. Thank you for what you've built, for opening doors, and for giving couples and vendors like us a place to shine.
I appreciate that.
How about that? ChatGPT killing the game.
I might call you every morning.
Yeah. I'm going to read that to you.
Cue the applause. Goddamn.
Yeah, that one was a good one. ChatGPT never fails me.
It's amazing.
It's the best employee. It's employee of the month.
If I wrote that, I'd be like, Khadar is a good guy. Moving on.
He's my friend.
Moving on. So that being said, it is true that likely most of the people in our market are going to have heard of at least one of your venues, but because I couldn't give you any justice, so why don't you kind of talk about a bit about your three venues that you're currently rocking with and just what you can offer the market, because our listeners are looking at venues and I think that you really offer the plethora of options to people. So why don't you kind of walk us through what you got in your
I appreciate
portfolio?
that. Great to be with all of you today. Appreciate the invite. So we started with the Aviator back in 2021. So Aviator, for whoever remembers from back in the day, was the 100th Bomb Group. Iconic venue, was in Cleveland for over 50 years. Everybody knew it, right across from the airport. We got it right in the middle of COVID.
It's a good time to start a wedding business.
Yeah. Actually, I remember the call from my dad. He's like, man, you're crazy. He's like, you can't do anything in that place right now. But we took that time, renovated it, turned it into what is now the Aviator, and it's been a massive success. It really exceeded any expectation that we had. And, we really went into it with trying to figure out how to simplify the life of a couple, right? How do we give couples and families a wedding experience that they're looking for from day one all the way to execution the day of. And a lot of it really was, partnering with companies like yourself and being able to have a suite of services that couples can say yes to easily. So, we take care of all the catering and we give them a wedding planner and the linens and the Chiavari chairs and outdoor spaces and after parties and you name it. And obviously referrals to, Cufflink Media and Sound Precision and all that good stuff. It's been great.
Well, I think one of the things, I guess, specifically about the Aviator, why we're on the topic, you guys have done an incredible job of having multiple spaces within the space. So why don't you do me a favor and describe, so obviously we're familiar, we have the flight space, the Gabrielle, you got a couple of cool boardrooms. Now there's 2 outdoor patio ceremony spots. And then the thing that cannot be beat is the rooftop, bar for after parties and things of that nature. So kind of walk people through what options there are there in that regard.
Yeah, so our main space there is called Flight. So Flight can accommodate up to about 350 guests.
Wow.
Central dance floor opens up to a beautiful patio, which could also now be used for a ceremony site, something we redeveloped about a year ago. And then we've got 3 other spaces, a little bit smaller than that. We got Gabriella's space, great for weddings, showers, birthday parties, etc., up to about 120 guests. We got Maria's place, up to 80 guests, and Sophia's room, up to about 30 guests. Great for, rehearsal dinners and corporate things, etc.
So where do those names come from? Gabriella, Sophia.
Yeah, great question. So Gabriella is my firstborn daughter.
Very good.
And Maria and Sophia are my partner's firstborn daughters.
Nice.
So we had 3 rooms on one side, and we were running out of names. And
Can we get
name them after the girls?
Can we get a Gianna room for my daughter? Like,
There you go.
That's
The next
cute.
venue.
That's really cute.
So yeah, it's been great. And the rooftop bar is just there's not that many rooftops outside of downtown Cleveland.
Correct.
So to be able to hit a
Certainly not one that overlooks the airports. I mean,
it's super unique. I mean, it's right on the direct flight path, right? So you not only see the planes coming in, but you get to catch the planes coming out, especially this past weekend with the air show, right? You got the Thunderbirds that land there and take off from there.
I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
That
it's
was
super
probably
cool.
really cool.
Yeah, and then they're flying all around town. So
Excellent.
Jamming weekend on Labor Day.
So I think another really cool thing about your spaces that you guys do that I don't think a lot do is like, you know, you've done your homework and you put some thought into the stylings and the decor of the building.
Yeah.
So, for example, you mentioned Gabriella's space. Now, a little bit smaller space, so it looks beautiful for ceremony, smaller events, but you've got like a cobblestone kind of like stone wall in there, which in itself is a feature. You make your way down the flight. Aside from being window wrapped, which is gorgeous, you guys put like a greenery wall. So now if you have a photo booth, if you've got a neon sign, if you've got friends and family that just want to, you know, do something fun and have a custom area, you've done some of these things, modern lighting fixtures. So, you know, if I'm not mistaken, have you guys just put in a new dance floor in flight?
Yes.
Okay.
Flight and Gabriella's.
Oh, really? So
Flight
yeah, why
and
don't you kind of
Gabriella's.
tell us a little bit about kind of that thing? Some
Yeah. So
upgrades.
flight's our modern space. It's, you know, we like to say it's almost a minimalistic space, but it's still got some big features. You know, right over that dance floor, which has a marble effect to it. It's got a 450 Swarovski crystal chandelier that we spent way too much money on.
That's how much that
It's
thing cost?
gorgeous.
450 Swarovski crystals.
Whoa,
It's
It's
really
a monster
pretty
of a
though.
chandelier, yeah. And, you know, that's wrapped with color-changing LED lights. So it's when the party starts, you know, the beauty of having the windows overlooking the runways in that room, when the sun goes down, the airport lights come on. You see, you know, the red blinkers coming off the planes, and you got the LED lights going all the way around the room and
Right.
drop everything else, and that chandelier just shines. And then the greenery wall. We love the greenery wall in there.
Greener
Just
wall.
built in.
There's so
Yeah.
much you can do with it, and I mean, I know that like one of the things that Nick and I were talking about. So whenever you're in a window wrapped room like Flight, like obviously it's gorgeous, but another nice touch that you guys did was you put, I wouldn't call them blackout shades, but they're like heavily
Pretty close.
Yeah, pretty heavy opacity, and that way if people are feeling a little warmer or if sun's kind of shining on a table, or they use Sound Precision or you guys for some cool lighting effects, we have the ability to kind of control the ambiance a little bit,
Absolutely.
which
Yes.
is really, really cool.
Absolutely.
Julia, what I would love to get from your perspective as the lone female, but also the lone photographer at the table, like we have shot dozens and
Oh, yeah.
dozens of wedding photo weddings and videos. So what are some of the, I guess, the positive things that the Aviator space can bring in general, just that a bride and groom can expect to enjoy as it pertains to their wedding?
I notice a lot of times the patio, gorgeous, going out there. They love taking photos out there, especially if they, a lot of them do like the fact that the airport's right there. So you get the planes in the background thing of the, in the photos and stuff like that. Then the rooftop makes for a great first look and just photos in general. Almost every couple wants to go out there and do their first look or photos while they're there. Another plus is that they do have a bridal suite. That is always a plus because some venues don't have that, and that is always great when they do because it gives a little getaway place for the bride, a place for her to get ready, things like that. And then the windows also phenomenal for photos. The fact that Flight is window wrapped, the lighting is always great for photos. We go out there, we'll stage like getting ready shots there just because the lighting's just absolutely perfect.
Awesome.
Yeah, that's some good stuff. Now, I have a question for Nick too, but you said the bridal suite and you made me think of something. So can I tell you probably something that you don't know, a little bit of a funky story? So we had a bride and groom who were obviously mic'd up for their ceremony, and they made it very clear to Julie and I that it was very important that we immediately following the ceremony remove the microphone from the groom. And the reason that they stated is that they plan on going into the bridal suite to share a intimate moment
That's
before
great.
the rest of everybody. And they didn't want us to
man.
record the audio of said intimate moment, which is one of my favorite Aviator
great.
stories.
That's
awesome.
goated.
I did not know that.
That's goated.
I don't know what business I'm in.
Yeah, so all I know is might need a cleaning crew for that. And they were super open about like what was going to go down in there, and it was a lot.
That's awesome.
So that was
G.
fun. So Nick, from the DJ perspective, you've played the Aviator before.
Many times,
We're
yes.
there many times. So talk about some of the little things that go a long way. Like we do all kinds of production elements. They've got power right in the floor where we set up.
Yes.
The fact that they have the staff is always super friendly. They get us meals quickly. Like kind of walk through some of your experiences that you've kind of had over there.
I've had nothing but great experiences at the Aviator, and being a DJ provider, particularly myself, it makes it easy to put on the proper performance. They have all of the tech accessories needed. There's power wherever you need it to be. Sometimes you go into a venue and you have one outlet, and our rigs, we need 2 to 3 outlets, maybe even 4. You guys have plenty of outlets, plenty of power. No power surges are going to happen there. I also like how he mentioned you guys have the shading around the room, which really does help to create that atmosphere, that vibe, especially when we have dance lighting. We're doing a dance scenario. Additionally, especially in flight, it's a concise space. So typically, sometimes weddings, cocktail hour will be in a different room, or the ceremony, or, there's many different rooms. You guys have a large enough space that all of the guests can be in one concise area, which really does help with the cohesion of that wedding, and it just makes for a much more seamless area as well.
Yeah, I agree with all of that, and I think we'd be remiss to at least not mention, obviously we're called the It's Just a Wedding podcast, so our focus on events and weddings, but if I'm not mistaken, the Aviator is open to the public for lunch and dinner, correct?
It is.
And then is that something every day? What's kind of the hours of operations and all that good stuff?
Yeah, so I'll tell you a quick story. So the restaurant, right when we opened, we didn't know what the restaurant was gonna, what it was gonna do, right? What the area is gonna bring. We started with just being open 5 days a week for dinner only, and within 3 months, it evolved to 7 days a week, lunch, dinner, and a Sunday brunch buffet.
I have heard amazing things about the brunch.
The Sunday brunch buffet is the highlight of that place, in my opinion.
I appreciate
It's the best brunch buffet in the city. And Pier W has a good Sunday brunch buffet, but your guys is excellent.
And if you know anything about Nick, this guy can eat. So he called me, like, dude, he's like, I was at this buffet. Like he was
You have to go, Scott. The fact that you don't know about it and you're friends with this guy.
I mean, I know about it, but I'm trying to lose weight.
Well, it's not like, okay, we're going to Golden Corral. We're eating like oysters and like prime rib is being served at a brunch. Like it's excellent.
Well, it's funny you mentioned those two places, because when we decided to start doing the Sunday brunch buffet consistently, it came from 2 things. One was all the Saturday night weddings. We're asking about next day festivities for the guests staying at hotels.
That's a smooth transition for you.
So let's just build it in, right? Instead of people booking a room and picking linens again and centerpiece and all that stuff, let's just build it into the restaurant.
Smart.
And the second one was the only other consistent Sunday buffets were Pier W and Golden Corral. So I came in right. Honestly,
Which Golden Corral? They have a good Sunday brunch for Golden Corral as well.
Nick has frequented the Golden Corral for many years.
They have a Sunday brunch that also offers great food, but it's not to the quality of the Aviator.
Well, here's what I'll say, and this is kind of off the cuff. So we have eaten more than our fair share of wedding food. And what I tell brides is typically like, look, 90% of weddings, it's just food and it's there, and as long as it's not terrible, you're in good shape.
Yeah.
There is 5% it might be excellent, and there are 5% where it's terrible. Now, what I can say is you guys have this option, I believe you call it the Duet, and typically, although I just recently had a new one over there, but we have this, like, you would know the actual cuts, but there's like some steak type of meat, and there's a short rib, and then there is like an airline chicken, usually over some sort of mashed potato or something. Honestly, for a guy who likes a substantial meal, at your venue, your guests are going to feel like they've eaten something, as opposed to when you see these other, little piles of food on the plate and you're starving 10 minutes later. So I think that's really cool.
Coming from a fellow food enthusiast myself, I do like the 2 meat option, because sometimes you're like, oh man, do I get the chicken? Do I get the beef? You get both.
Yeah, because a lot of people either love or hate beef or love or hate chicken, and it's good that we have both options there. And also, every single time I've been there, the food has been great.
Didn't we also have a few shrimpies on our plate that one day?
So the way I understand it, did you guys hire like a new event chef or something recently, or somebody new there?
Well, here's what I'll tell you. We've got within the company, we've got about 6 chefs. So we've gotten a lot, classically trained chefs. So we're getting a lot better about, the chefs collaborating with each other on how to stay ahead of things and how to elevate dinners.
To our surprise, your planner Jenna recently was working on a wedding with us, and they brought out the Duet, and shrimp was on the plate, which we found to be delightful.
I've never
Love
seen
shrimpies.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you guys real quick the brainchild of it. Right before I opened Aviator, I always say this at a wedding: not everybody drinks, not everybody dances, but everybody eats food at a wedding, right? So the 3 biggest complaints that people always leave with on dinner at a wedding is either the food just sucks, it's not enough food, or it takes forever to serve the food.
That's true.
And that's from a traditional, get an invitation in the mail, you want beef, chicken, a vegetarian option, check this box, send it back to the couple. So the dual entree, the Duet plate, 2 proteins on the same plate automatically. Fixes all 3 of those problems. The biggest one is the portion size and the speed of service. I guarantee you a 200-person wedding, we've got fed in less than 15 minutes.
Wow.
Because the food goes from oven to plate to guest.
So for a guest or a future bride at home who doesn't know the operations of your business, how can you explain to them how they're going to get 200 people fed in 15 minutes? And how is that Duet plate going to be cost effective towards a single meat option?
Yeah, great question. So, when you're giving couples a choice, or you're giving your guests a choice of beef, chicken, or a vegetarian option, beef is always the most expensive of the options. 80% of guests are picking that anyway, right out of the gate.
That's true.
So when we came up with this, we're like, okay, let's just give everybody 2 meats on the same plate to help guarantee a hot meal. Because you got to remember, now in the back, in the kitchen, it's an assembly line, and we'll just tell you when to stop making the same plate. That's how I can go from oven to plate to guests. You guys have probably seen it at weddings if they come out with those little hotel cover trays or things are pre-made in the back, ready to go and just reheated and send it. Not our model. And that's because we have restaurants as a part of our portfolio and actually have chefs that know how to operate these types of things.
Right.
The second thing is the portion size. It's a 6-ounce beef and a 5-ounce chicken, 11 ounces of protein on the plate. That's about 4 ounces more than the industry average on a solo protein on the dish.
Wow.
Well, I can appreciate extra meat on my dish.
It costs me a little bit more, but it's worth it.
Love meat.
No, I think all that this makes a ton of sense, and I'm glad that we started with the Aviator. I think it would be a fair assessment to say it's like a flagship of what you got going on currently. So if you haven't done so, if you're a bride or a groom or a business looking to host an event, definitely hit up Khadar. Jenna is awesome. Jen is amazing. I think Tyler is over there. So those guys can get you well taken care of. So it's a really good space. So before we get into your other 2 venues, Khadar, one of the things that we always try to do on our show is have a wedding horror story. So, the whole idea behind the It's Just a Wedding podcast is brides are just, as you know, they're freaking out. It's expensive. They're getting into fights with their moms, fights with their maids of honor. It's a whole ordeal. And sometimes we think it's just fun to remind people that, hey, we know it's an important day. It's a big day, but it is just a wedding. So what we try to do is in all of our, at this table, we've probably got, 40 plus years of experience in the wedding space. Try to give a couple of horror stories that can remind a couple that, likely your wedding won't go this bad.
Sure.
So in your, couple decades of experience, do you have any horror story that sticks out to you that you've experienced at any of your properties?
Yeah, I'll give you 2, kind of on each side of the spectrum.
Okay.
So first one was, and this one was not too long ago. We had a couple that came in and they said their grandma has a bad seizure problem with heavy lights.
We had
light shows and lasers and
on the DJ
heads.
side. We've experienced that before. Okay.
Yeah. So we're meeting with them. And actually, I didn't book that wedding. It was Jen's wedding, who you guys know. We're in our weekly meeting about what's coming up for the weekend, and she's like, just a heads up, the couple knows that the grandma has a seizure problem, but they booked all the lights anyway.
Oh my God.
So we know that this grandma's more than likely going to have a seizure about a half hour into this thing.
At least you can prepare
and I'm
in
like, oh
advance
my
for
God.
that.
I was like, that's not good. Is that safe? Is that reliable?
Yeah.
Whatever. And she had a seizure. A half hour. And the couple's like, oh, she'll be fine. It's really no big deal. Don't call an ambulance. Don't do nothing. And I was like, oh no.
So so when you have these
That's kind of crazy.
epileptic type seizures, sometimes, listen, I'm not a doctor, so take none of this advice, but some of them are they just kind of stare off into space for a second and they come around, but sometimes they're on the floor convulsing, tongue hanging, and it's, I guess to somebody like myself who's not that familiar with seizures, it was really scary, but for the people who it's there's their everyday life, it's just not a big deal. So I could totally see, because from a venue perspective, what's the liability? But then just the other guests, I'm sure, are freaking out, and just, what does that do to the party? So I could certainly see that being a horror story.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that was my question. I was like, okay, the immediate family knows that grandma has seizures, but do the other 250 guests know?
Probably not. Yeah.
I'm like, well, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, you're going to have like 20 911 calls for sure.
Yeah.
Okay, so wedding story 1 did not disappoint. So how about horror story number 2?
I'm going to tell you, not so much a horror story, but to show couples, because I get a lot of couples who are like, well, we don't think we have enough time to plan a wedding, and they're talking a year and a half, 2 years out. We had a wedding a couple years ago, and I think you guys were involved with this one. Couple came in, sat at my desk and said, we need to get married within the next 14 days.
Oh.
And we've got 200 guests. I
Wow.
said, this is perfect. Not a problem. Based on the way we do things, we have everything.
You're like, I welcome that. Let's go.
You were like, as long as the cash is green, we'll make this work.
Everything was booked, so they ended up taking a Sunday date. And we're sitting there, and I'm like, okay, there's really no time to think. It's like, I am going to rattle off all these questions, and you need to make decisions today, right now, because we got to get you a photographer booked, a DJ booked, a florist booked. The only thing they missed out on was sending actual invitations.
Wow.
Yeah.
They had to call or text everybody. And 2 weeks went by, and they had the wedding of their dreams. And I'm like, not so much of a horror story, but to put it all together within 2 weeks.
Well, what I will say this is, if your team is able to pull something off like that in 14 days, like, what can your team do when they have the proper, 10 to 14 months to plan? So, I mean, I think that means a lot. The other thing that I'll give you guys a lot of credit, now, any other business, including mine, there's turnover and stuff. But, since I've been in working with you guys, Jen, Jenna, Tyler, they've been kind of a core that you have there. And we can tell you that from our side, the experience is that there are so many businesses where we'll meet somebody. Hey, this is Susie Q. Hey, Susie, we're excited to work with you. Susie's there for 3 months and she's gone. So having some stability there, I'm sure for you as the owner, the peace of mind that brings, but for your clients, that the person they meet, this August is the person who's going to be there on their wedding day next August. And I think that's a really nice thing.
Well,
as well.
particularly in the restaurant service and hospitality business, it is notorious to have high turnover. So not only is that great, it says a lot about your ownership and just your company overall that people are wanting to stay. I think that's incredible.
I appreciate that.
Yeah.
But I like that story about the 2 week turnaround, because I think that embodies what this wedding podcast is about. It's just a wedding podcast. Whether you're having a super bad horror story, you're still going to have a good time. If you're getting married, you're so in love, you need 2 weeks to have the day of your dreams. Doesn't matter. It will get handled because it's just
100%.
a wedding. We'll have a good time regardless.
100%. It's a celebration. Weddings are a celebration.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hey, what's up, guys? It's Scott from It's Just a Wedding podcast, and we are so excited at the trajectory of what this podcast has been doing. So I'll tell you what we're looking for. We are looking for sponsors. If you have a product or a service that you think would be highlighted really well right here on our show, we want to hear from you. Hit us up at Gmail at itsjustaweddingpodcast@gmail.com, or find us on all the socials out there. So as the resident paisan at the table right now.
Hey, whoa. I'm like 20%
You're
pie.
Greek, dude. I don't want to hear that. You're Greek.
You're Greek. Okay.
I am, yeah.
So as a resident paisan at the table, you've recently opened, I believe it was your second property, that you guys are now calling Roma Event Center and Ristorante. It is in North Royalton? Which, so first and foremost, I love Italian food. So you can't really go wrong whenever you're dealing with noodles and pasta and sauce. So much like your other venues, to the best of my knowledge, there are 3 different spaces there from the Grotto. So why don't you kind of walk people through what was the thought process behind? I know it came from a kind of a historic restaurant in Cleveland to what you got going on, and kind of give people an idea of what they could expect over at Via Roma.
That's another one that was around for 80 years, is Carrie Serino's. So
R.I.P. Mr. Serino.
Name,
Great guy. I love that guy. He was awesome.
Wow.
Always fed me well there, for
Don't
sure.
know that guy.
Yeah, that place was on the map. Yeah, it was on the map for a long time. And same thing, that's kind of our niche now. It's finding these properties that have been around for a long time that just need revitalized and modernized to today's style and today's couples.
Yeah.
So Via Roma, boasts a beautiful Italian restaurant. We've got the Grotto, which is our speakeasy nightclub type of setting, which is becoming way more popular for weddings, outside of the traditional wedding, so to speak.
Sure.
And then we've got a grand ballroom that looks like it came out of Italy. And then we got the Florence room, which is more of a modern interpretation on an event space. So we can do our, ballroom up to 350, Florence room up to 120, and the Grotto up to about 100 guests.
Well, and I myself, actually, we were all there, so we can all speak to. I ended up having my wife's surprise 40th birthday in the Florence room. And so, obviously we had Nick there as a guest, and Julia was shooting it, and my entire team was actually there. And
food was gas.
Food was great. That honestly, that was not that I was surprised. Your food's always good, but it was very, very good. Completely different take on it. So we were.
And you had a good package. There were multiple meat options, which I was.
Dude, that was all Khadar.
I love this guy.
He takes care of.
He's like, we're gonna be here at this time on this day, this many people.
Now, what I didn't know when I was planning this wedding, and probably the most unique aspect of this, is as part of that, you guys actually started, if I'm not mistaken, Via Roma Bakery.
Yes.
So for my wife, I was able to go in there, pick cake flavors, how many tiers. Fully custom design colors. It was off the chain. The photos were insane. So, now not only can they provide, bakery services in Via Roma, but now all your properties can utilize that. So, walk us through kind of what you got going on with the bakery, because I know it's pretty cool.
So every month that goes by, we try to find something else to just include within our portfolio of services and offerings that, all the events that we're doing between all 3 properties. Bakery is one of those. Every event has some kind of dessert, cake, dessert display, ice cream sundae bars, cannoli stations, whatever, you name it.
The ice cream sundae bar is
The ice cream sundae bar is awesome.
Yeah.
So we brought it all in-house. So, I'll tell you just about every wedding now that we do, regardless of venue, uses us for the wedding cakes and all the little mini pastries and everything that goes into it.
So her and I had the opportunity, I believe it was over at the Aviator, we were shooting a new dessert menu.
Oh, yeah.
And you had some sort of it was 17-layer.
17-layer chocolate torte.
It's so good.
What
Dude.
Is that the homemade butter pecan over there too?
Oh, so wait a second. Yeah. So
Homemade old man.
You're getting me off on a fat guy tangent. So 17-layer chocolate torte, whatever, was unreal. And then she comes out. Now, we have an inside joke. Myself, Nick, and his uncle, we call butter pecan ice cream the old man.
Okay.
I consider it an old man ice cream,
I like an old man.
but it's my favorite. She brings out a homemade butter pecan ice cream that put briars and all of that junk to shame. It was freaking.
It's homemade. It's all a scratch bakery.
It was some very good old man.
I don't know if there's certain times a year, but when that hits the menu, it is, in my opinion, it's a must grab is some of the, not the old man, the butter pecan ice cream that is homemade. So
I get a lot of couples now that have the 17-layer chocolate torte in one of the restaurants. And they go, because cake right now, not every wedding's doing a big elaborate cake to feed everybody. People don't eat cake anymore. But they'll come in and be like, can we get that 17-layer chocolate torte on steroids? And I'm like, yeah, we can.
That thing
Absolutely.
is.
I don't think I had it. Is it that good, huh?
It's
Dude.
that good.
It's
that's
really
our
good.
showstopper.
It's that good. It's worth it.
Yeah.
You're gonna probably eat about 1,500 calories.
That's fine.
I'm not a healthy restaurant
You
organizer.
gotta make that commitment. If you're getting it, you already know what's coming with that.
Exactly.
All the desserts are phenomenal there. I've tried them at events that you guys have, open houses.
Yeah, you may not know this about
really
Julie,
good.
but we call her the snack queen. So
Okay.
at any given time, no children, but you may find little snacks in her purse and her little backpack. So
Yeah, I always
when
carry
she
them.
talks snacks, she knows what she's talking
I
about
like that.
for
That's
sure.
good. That's good.
So before we move on from Via Roma, one thing that's cool about the Grotto. So first of all, it is this cool, dark, speakeasy vibe, and it almost got at least by my opinion, it's kind of cool, aquatic sort of underwater kind of vibe. But you guys, on top of being able to hold events there, I think I've seen recently, we're doing comedy shows. We have, I forget the name's name, the Hayden Grove. He was on America's Got The Voice. I mean, so you've got some actual national acts and stuff playing there. So why don't you kind of, tell people some of the other things they could potentially see in a space like the Grotto?
Sure. Yeah. North Royalton's an interesting area, right? It's a very suburban, stay-at-home type of community, and it needed something attraction-wise to get people out of that house. So comedy shows have been a huge hit for us. We host those once a month. We got singers down to the Grotto every single weekend. And the one thing we're about to unveil here in a few weeks is we're turning it into a Halloween pop-up bar.
Whoa.
So we did
I might
Valentine's
have to
Day
go
last
there.
year, and we did Christmas last year. So the team was like, let's do Halloween.
You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah.
The Halloween pop-up
that
bar.
thing's going to be nuts.
I might have to go.
Julia
It's gonna be
is a
nuts.
Halloween fanatic as
I love
well.
Halloween.
Oh, yeah.
That's one of my favorite holidays.
You got to see my credit card with all
Oh.
the charges of Halloween decor. And
I can see that.
yeah, they decked it out.
So just outside the Grotto, probably my favorite space in the building. So I believe you guys call it the Cantina Wine Cellar. Is that correct? I don't even know that I could describe it necessarily. So it's kind of like a private dining space, which is completely window wrapped with some of the, I'm guessing, the finest wines, and this kind of large table where you can see probably 10, 12, 15 people kind of enjoying this, this beautiful meal. So kind of walk us through kind of how you thought of that, what gave you guys the idea and how that space is doing for you.
Definitely. So when you think Italian restaurant, you think good wine and a big offering on wine. So we carry a little over 100 different wines from around the world.
Oh,
a lot of them Italian, but we got a lot of California, we got some French, etc. So the cantina is exactly that. It's a private wine cellar. Can seat up to 16 guests. Wow. We do a lot of 4-course dinners, 5-course dinners in there, tasting style events. Very popular for very small rehearsal dinners.
Okay.
For the tight-knit families.
Yeah, you could see that being like a small rehearsal or someone's a birthday party, something special like that.
Oh, yeah.
So
it's a cool space.
Yeah, one of my favorite spaces. And then just for those who haven't been there, the outside space. So as far as like you've got these really cool like canopies and kind of like that old, like I would consider kind of like Italy kind of vibe as far as some of that stuff, and then even some of the smaller touches that you put on, which is I think some of the landscaping that was done, the new sign out front. So it really is a classy space across the board. We were fortunate enough to partner on. We kind of did like a little video when you first kind of opened the space. So and really, if you didn't know this was North Royalton, Ohio, you could potentially believe that you were in Tuscany in certain parts of the property.
I knew Tuscany was going to come out of your mouth. I don't know why. It gives that vibe though.
It does give that.
It gives that vibe.
Give
That's
that
why.
vibe. So, and then we're going to move on to space number 3, which has a little bit of a special place in my heart because this was previously Michaud's, another kind of Cleveland staple that you guys have now rebranded as the Encore Event Center,
You got it.
which is going to boast this unbelievable patio outside. So I'm just going to let you kind of describe what you did, because we're talking water, we're talking fire, we're talking the coolest turf that looks like real grass, we're talking gazebos. So walk us through how you came up with all this.
Yeah, so Michaud's, again, another property that was around. Actually, we closed on the deal on their 90th anniversary. So they got to see through a full 90 years of operation at that property, which was super cool for that family. Needed a little bit of an upgrade. The outdoor area was the lowest hanging fruit on that. So it's a little over an acre of new landscaped usable space. So we've got a beautiful gazebo outside that you can do ceremonies for up to 600 to 700 guests, and turf areas for cocktail hour, and outdoor bars and jumping water and water features all over the place, and fountains, and we've got a little mini putt-putt course out there.
Yeah, I forgot about the putt.
Yeah.
That is.
Oh yeah,
that's fucking awesome.
There's nothing like it in town.
It's impeccably maintained outside.
Thank you.
You won't find one leaf out of place.
Literally.
Yeah.
Literally.
So we do have some questions. So, and I think these are going to be questions that your brides are going to ask because, so, again, we've been to the space, we've played the space, we work, frequently with you guys. So if I'm not mistaken, inside Michaud's, I'm not sure they're all active, but there's 7 ballrooms in there?
There's 7 event spaces.
7 event spaces. Yep. Okay. So, obviously the low hanging fruit / the feature of these 7 event spaces is that courtyard.
Yeah.
What is the plan for Encore and your staff how are you guys going to stagger that? What if 5 weddings want to have ceremonies and there's only 1 patio or multiple cocktail hours? Like, walk me through kind of, is there like a first come, first serve? Is there going to be a special deposit? Like, what are you guys thinking about that?
Yeah, great question. So, a 2-part answer. So first answer is 3 of those 7 rooms actually open up to their own private outdoor patios. So it's something new that was for Michaud's, now Encore. The second part, the main gazebo area, that is first come, first book, right? I tell couples there's 7 event spaces here. Whoever books that courtyard first gets the courtyard for the day.
Is there going to be an additional deposit or fee associated with taking that space?
Yeah, they rent it. Yeah, there's an additional rental to get the outdoor space, but that comes equipped with, we got a lot of beautiful lounge furniture outside, kind of that nightclubby type of look.
Yeah.
High top tables, bourbon barrel bars, heaters, depending on the season.
Yeah, I know that you guys even have a relationship with hand-rolled cigar bar guy.
Yes.
We experienced him recently. That was
awesome.
cool as shit.
I smoked one of the cigars when I was there. It was great. Yeah.
Yeah, they do a real nice job over there. I think maybe aside from the patio, what makes the space so unique is with those 7 event spaces, they all are unique in their own right, just as far as the way they look, the way the flow of an event would happen. So
They all have their own theme.
kind of a theme. They
They're all
do.
look a little bit different.
And they're all different names as well, right?
You got it.
I'm not going to necessarily ask you to recite every name and every statistic. I know it's a lot, but like, why don't you walk people through a little bit of like what they could expect, maybe the different styles or vibes that you guys try to put together in the space?
Yeah, no, the grand ballroom is the biggest space in there, so that one can go up to about 800 guests. Right now we call it's a more modern style ballroom with, we put in all new chandeliers and dance floors and a modern marble bar and new flooring, et cetera, et cetera. So it's built for the princess type of bride, right? With super high ceilings and, fabric swooping throughout the air and, a lot of lighting in that space. So that one's been a feature. Some of the other rooms a little bit smaller. A lot of them have windows that look over the courtyard, which for brides that are looking for natural light, those are becoming the winners. And, we can do anything from, a total property buyout of 2,500 people down to a 40-person event.
And you have
Everything in between.
a Christmas themed room as well in that one, right?
Yeah, so we can turn any one of those rooms into a Christmas. Yes, into a Christmas showcase. So very popular in December. December and into January.
I get a call from Jen. Okay, we're doing this, grand opening showcase, and she goes, "Hey, we're doing a Christmas room." I'm like, "It's August." She's like, "I know." I'm like,
Yeah, she's crazy.
Let's do it. Yeah, I was like, "Let's do it." Yeah. No, it's a fantastic space across the board. And I think that's going to help me lead into the next section. So one of the things that we like to do on this podcast is have a little bit of fun, we do kind of we'll call it a game. So in this case, we're going to call it the red flag, green flag, wedding venue edition. Okay. So we just mentioned grand ballroom, traditional ballroom, no windows, other spots, a lot of natural daylight, window wrap. So I guess my first one would be, let's go green flag or red flag, a venue or an event space without windows. Is that red flag or green flag for the panel?
That's tough.
So for me, I'm going green flag, but I own a production company, so I like to be able to control the ambiance, the lighting, the gobos, all that stuff. So for me, sunlight is beautiful, but it also can be a hindrance to what we sell. So for me, I'm going green flag, no windows.
I think no windows is a green flag as long as you have access to some sort of outdoor feature, catch some air, smoke a cigar, whatever the case may be. So
Okay.
we'll say green.
You're a photographer. You need the light. Come on.
On a photographer's perspective, it's more of a red flag because the natural light usually makes for phenomenal, great photos.
Sure.
If you're inside in a closed area where it's like dimmer, there's no windows, normally you have to use a higher flash, really work with the lighting that you have and just kind of create your own lighting. So, there's pluses and negatives to both. But, from a photographer's perspective, normally we tend to not like that as much.
From a purveyor that has rooms with both windows and non-windows, this is more of a personal question.
Yeah.
What's your vibe on that?
Yeah, no, it's here I'll give you one. This is a real thing for couples, right? And it's a question you should ask venues that do have windows.
Okay.
Do you have the proper air conditioning to sustain sunlight coming through the windows?
True.
And do you have the proper tint on the windows? And do you have the blinds that you were talking about before? So I'm going to say both, right? If you're not equipped the right way to handle natural light coming in, you shouldn't have natural light coming in, because on a 85-degree July Saturday, it's going to be very hard to temper.
That was the perfect response for a guy that sells both types of rooms.
I got to ask those questions.
This guy, the whole interview, he is like fact, information, statistics. I love it. If you're a bride at home and you have all these questions, you have the numbers to back it up, you have the process and the theory. So,
well, I ask couples,
salute to you.
You want me to be honest with you throughout this process, or do you want me to tell you what you want to hear? Right? And when they tell me, we really want you to be honest and give us all the information. Listen, every venue's got pros and cons. My venues have pros and cons. Our job is to figure out those cons and minimize them to make them a pro, especially when it comes to the operation of the event and making sure you can execute it at a high level. So,
No, that makes sense.
That's true.
So number 2, so you are having an ever-growing portfolio, but right now I don't believe you have one of these, so I'm just curious your opinion. Red flag or green flag, reception venues that are in a renovated warehouse. Red flag or green flag?
That's fucking cool. As a man who lives in the streets, that is...
You live in the street. You live in Parma, Ohio.
My ears are always to the streets, okay?
He's from the streets, yeah.
Ears are always in the streets. I think that's cool because that revitalized abandoned space could make for a very cool venue, especially if you're trying to attract that EDM crowd, that younger crowd. I'm gonna go ahead and say green flag on that. Why'd you look shocked?
I don't know. I don't like. I think of a warehouse. I think of like an actual warehouse. I don't know. I guess you could, if you do it right, you could make it.
Well,
look
here's
good.
what I will say: when the All-Star Game came to Cleveland, there was a impromptu underground concert performed by Gunna that was had to know kind of deal. It wasn't really available, and I went to it, of course. And it was so cool how they. It was so cool how they took this abandoned warehouse. Completely, I mean, Bleacher Report was there. All these big time people were there, and there was a stage, and it was the coolest thing ever. So I really like that idea. I think that'd be cool.
I just don't know about a wedding there, though.
Well, you're not like in the grease traps on warehouse shelving. They put like fake walls.
So I will say there are some pretty big venues in Cleveland. So whether you're talking about a Windows on the River, whether you're talking about a Tank, so some of these places could be quite cool. You get some exposed brick, you get some of the the ceilings that don't have the drop ceiling. So for me, I would say green flag, and my guess would be, if I know this guy, that might be something in his crosshairs for a portfolio piece at some point.
I was going to say red flags. I don't own one yet.
Yeah.
Although green flag when I get one.
In 2 years, it'll be a green flag. Exactly.
I feel like if it's done right, green flag. I feel like if you don't know what you're doing or to make it look not like a warehouse, then it's a red flag. Like if you go in and you see it.
You still want it to look like a warehouse at the same time. You want that industrial feel.
I like this. You guys got a good dynamic.
Yeah, I don't know if I personally like that.
Okay, so look, you want the industrial ceiling, the industrial lights, the natural exposed brick, the steel.
Excuse me,
but
Nick
you
is
want
going to
regular
mansplain
walls.
this to you right now on the podcast.
I know what you're talking about.
But you want regular walls, right? You want some regular walls.
But remember, too, with warehouses, you need parking.
That's
true. You got a few 100-person wedding coming in. Warehouses are not known for having a ton of parking.
Well, you got to buy the warehouse across the street and turn it into a
parking. Next one's a good one because I think you'll be able to speak to it really well. So from the consumer perspective, you can see there being some value there. But I know that in Cleveland, whether it be an event venue, a bar, just to get that liquor license is very difficult. But there's a lot of positives and safety reasons for that. So BYOB friendly venues, red flag or green flag?
Red flag.
Red flag.
For me, it's a red flag now as well. When I was young, I would have been like, oh, cool, I could bring in my own booze. But anymore, it's like you don't want the responsibility, the headaches, who's bringing what in, where's it going, are they driving? To me, it's just,
And how much to get. I'm not exaggerating. I get maybe a call every 2 weeks at one of the locations from people that we don't even know that said, hey, we just had a wedding. We overbought an obscene amount of alcohol, not knowing what people were going to drink because you don't want to run out, and now we got nothing to do with it.
That actually happened to me.
That's a problem.
I to this day, I've been married 13 years, and I've got a full bar because we overbought for my bar at my wedding. So it's awesome. That part is awesome, but it is also old booze now, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's like a plus and a negative because you have all this liquor, and you're like, what do I do? And it's like a waste of money at that point.
Or underbuying. We hear that story all the time. Actually, it happened at my cousin's wedding. He was just wrong about what people were going to drink that night. So I always tell couples, you have no idea until that night comes.
It's hard to calculate.
A vodka crowd, a wine crowd, a beer crowd, a tequila crowd. We just don't know until the night comes.
Yep.
Halfway through, there's no
underbuying would be worse than like
underbuying. There's
nothing worse than it's like we're gonna send cousin Tony to go pick up a few more 12.
Don't send your cousin.
At that point, everyone's drunk.
It's not good. Now I wrote this one specifically for you because I know what you think about like social media influencers. So red flag, green flag, venue that has Instagram worthy and/or Instagram famous photo spots built into the property. Major green flag.
Green flag.
Huge.
Green flag.
Huge.
One thing that you've done incredibly well is both through the restaurant and the event space, you've invited some of these locally famous kind of influencers, and they've come, and I know that they've gotten a ton of additional eyes on your property.
Yeah.
So I think, we went back to the cobblestone walls, the greenery wall, some of these things that you've built in that really allow for people to utilize the space in a different way than most traditional venues.
For sure, and it's that one-stop shop model. It's we don't want couples to feel like they have to leave the venue to go get, and that's on us when we're building it.
I like it.
Just making sure you can put photo ops in there.
I like it.
Let's do one more red flag, green flag. Let's see.
Give us a good one.
Give us something juicy. Dude.
I'm gonna give you a good one because you and I have both agreed and disagreed on this topic, and I can see from everyone's perspective. So red flag or green flag? A venue who handles everything in-house, including your DJ, photographer, videographer, decor, catering, planner, etc. Now, as a guy who does a lot of that stuff, I'm going to say green flag. I think there's a market for it. We've talked about this over and over again. But I can see why for a bride that could be difficult if you say, hey, nobody else is allowed in, only these people. So for the same reason that you said no to the warehouse, I'm going to say yes to this. But what say you, Nick?
Green flag.
That a boy. I
Green
pay
flag.
you. I love that. Yeah.
I'll say you're on payroll 100%.
I'm not on payroll, though. That's the thing. But, I mean, it's a green flag because look at Walmart. There's a reason they're so big. It makes it easy on the client to be able to just not really have to make the decision. It's all kind of laid out. You have the process already laid out. You have the reviews to back it up. You work with good companies like Sound Precision Entertainment, Cufflink Media. So it makes it easy on the client to not make that decision, and you have a trusted process with the reviews to back it up.
Mm-hmm.
Nailed it.
I'm good.
Julia, I also pay you, but I can see you thinking very yes. I'll let you give your honest opinion,
I'm
though.
thinking from like if I was a bride in that perspective.
You better think hard.
Scott's gonna be like, can I see you for a second in my office after this episode?
I'm in the middle on this because like it's cool because if you don't want to deal with a whole lot of wedding planning or anything like that, you just go here. They have everything planned. It's all set for you.
Yeah.
But if you're one that you kind of want more to be more hands-on and really personalize things more, have other like decor in or things like that you want to do, then that's like a negative on that part because you want it set on your day how you want it. You want to bring this florist in instead of that one, or like if you know people or things and you like those, or like go to bridal shows and you find people that you really vibe with and connect and you want them in, then those venues, it can be a negative because then you're like, hey, well, why can't I bring these people in? This is what I want. But in those venues that do include all that, they do include phenomenal people in those. So it's really depending on what you want to do. If you want to be more hands-on, more personalized, I would it would be more of a red flag for you. But if you want something that's not as hands-on, everything's there, but it's still stunning, beautiful, phenomenal, go for it. Green flag in that way.
Mm-hmm.
And then the man of the hour, you gave him the wink. Did you see the wink on camera? I don't know. You saw the wink, but yeah.
I think it could be both. I think from a venue owner perspective, we run into the cousin Tony problem that's a DJ and they want to use him. We run into the problem of, well, hey, this company did my sister's wedding 3 years ago and they're giving us a deal to do a second wedding. So, from a venue perspective, it's hard to lose the entire wedding over that. With all of that said, what I do believe in is partnering with great companies and being able to put our name on them confidently. One thing that is very unique to us as venues, and I pissed off a lot of vendors in town with this, a lot of vendors. We do not have preferred vendor lists. We do not hand a couple a piece of paper that says, here are 5 DJs that we recommend, here's 5 photographers that we recommend, here's 5 videographers. We recommend 1 out of each category, period, because we're willing to put our name on them. We're willing to put our seal of approval on. They're going to treat you the same way we treat you. We've worked with them a million times before. They're essentially our in-house partner at that point. And we think that conversation goes a little bit further on. It's at your choice at the end of the day, but you're trusting us with, because at the end of the day, it comes down to dollars and cents. You're trusting us with writing us a check for big money for your wedding. Write this next check to one of these companies to round out the wedding experience.
Well, that helps with quality control, right?
It does.
One trusted DJ, one trusted photographer that you know is going to be great.
And we've seen, I've seen, I don't know if I can say this, but I've seen the $500 DJ that comes in.
Oh, sure.
And it's a guy who, probably bought some speakers on Amazon and downloaded Spotify Premium and hits play on a wedding playlist. And it's just not good.
So what I will say, I don't even know how this is going to go, and I won't even use the venue's name in this regard, but there's a newer venue in town, who they are vetting wedding vendors, and they are flat out telling brides yay or nay that they can actually perform services in their venue based on this vetting process, which, I mean, obviously it wasn't an issue for our company, so I guess it kind of keeps the riffraff out. But going back to the cousin Tony, like, what if cousin Tony is your guy and it's like, listen, just because he doesn't carry X amount of insurance or have a website or it isn't, licensed and bond, whatever the case may be. I thought that was a pretty, I'll use the term ballsy move, but I mean, they're like sticking to it. Like,
interesting. There
are X amount of things that we expect for vendors to perform in our venue. If they do not meet those criteria, they are not welcome to perform here.
And I'm going to tell you the aspect that I get it from having venues. The last thing you want is a family to have a phenomenal experience at the wedding, but go to work on Monday and tell them, hey, I was at the Aviator. Everything was great, but the DJ was not good.
Right.
Yeah.
Because then that connotation, even though it's got nothing to do with us, is a part of that conversation.
Yeah.
And I tell couples, I'm like, I'd rather pay the difference out of my own pocket than you to hold back specifically on a DJ.
Because people relate it to the venue because they were there.
100%.
Wow.
Yeah, it's just kind of like negativity through osmosis.
Knock
Even
on
if
wood, we don't get that clientele all that often.
Yeah.
It does happen.
And one thing while we're on the DJ topic, I'm in the age group 26 right now where a lot of my friends are getting married and they come to me knowing I'm a DJ. Hey, Nick, should I go with someone like yourself as a premium DJ selector or should I go to the cheaper option to somebody XYZ? And I say not as a salesman, but as a friend, choose the more premium option because anybody can play music, right? If you're young and you know how to DJ, then you could play music. But what comes from that is the equipment, the expertise, the know-how, but more importantly, that MC is trained to handle a crowd, trained to handle that evening, and it just makes for a more seamless night for you as the bride.
You're a hype man.
That's what I say.
Yeah.
I've also been told, like, at weddings, the two things that you really want to nail is the food and then a great DJ, because those are the two things that people are really going to remember. Because by the end of the night, after they have food, they had drinks, they're going to that DJ floor. If the DJ's bad, no one's going to be on the dance floor. People are going to be leaving early. Then you're just stuck with like, hey, I paid all this money and everyone's leaving. They're not having fun.
Right.
And you want people to have fun, enjoy that time, celebrate with you. So like that really makes or breaks a wedding for me.
Well, and it's every category. I don't care if you're talking about the venue or a photographer or a florist. Like I tell brides, like you don't want to be like too cheeky with them, but it's like, listen, like you walked into our office and you're wearing, red bottom Louis on your feet and you're carrying, a high-end handbag, and you know that you could go right now to Walmart or to Target and go get a bag that would work the exact same as that bag, but you're choosing that brand because you feel like it makes you look a certain way or feel a certain way, but more importantly, it makes you look a certain way or feel a certain way to other people. The same thing is going to apply to your wedding entertainment, your florist, your food, because it's not about like whether or not the DJ is great or not, but you want to feel like, hey, we provided this level of service for experiences for my family and friends.
Absolutely.
It's the same principle as the nice shoes, the nice handbag, all of the above.
100%.
So another segment that we do, weddings are always about girls. It's the bride, it's the mom, it's girls, girls, girls. And Nick came up with the idea at the beginning of this. His brainchild was something called No Tucks Given. So Nick, why don't you go and kick that
Time
off?
for No Tucks Given.
And he makes
make sure
me
you
put
throw it in there.
He makes me put a swoosh every time.
That's good.
Yeah,
So like you mentioned, every episode we talk to the groom specifically. And I was particularly excited about this episode because between the four of us, there's a lot of culture sitting at this table. Palestinian, Italian. What are you?
I'm a mix.
she's German. She's a
I'm
web.
German, Cherokee.
That's right. She's
Last
German.
Sunday
She's
you
a
were
Mutt.
German. I'll tell you that much. We were out there.
Cherokee.
She's a Mutt. I'm a Mutt. I'm Greek
there's
Italian.
Polish.
So a lot of culture here. So we want to talk about the groom's role in culturally diverse weddings. So you come from a rich Arab background with traditionally there's massive celebrations, family is super involved. The typical guest count tends to exceed higher than normal traditional American weddings. Walk us through what's the groom's role in a wedding. Now, in Arab cultures, he's usually the provider.
Sure.
Right? He wants to honor the family tradition. Can you walk us through a groom? You're married, correct?
Yeah.
Walk us through being a groom in an Arab traditional cultured wedding.
Sure. I'll tell you, the traditions have started to change when weddings got a lot more expensive.
I could believe that.
Yeah, I mean, the days, when my parents got married, it was $25 a head to have 600 people, spend $12,000 and you've got a show for the whole day.
Right.
Not anymore. Right. So we're starting to see those guest counts come down to, my wedding was, I think, about 350, 360 in that. Still a lot of people, but not in the 500 or 600 world. I'm going to tell you modern day, the groom is there to support the bride in our culture. Okay. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm in the wedding business. I didn't plan my own wedding. It was, what do you want?
Yep.
Sounds good.
Yep.
Let me try to get us a hookup or a discount or something. From people that we
I
know.
told my wife, I said, I care about the music, the booze, and all the lighting stuff. I didn't care about a flower, a color, a vest, whatever you want, sweetheart. You know what I mean? Like,
well, I'll tell you, in our culture, my favorite part is not actually the wedding. It's the day before the wedding. Our rehearsal dinners are 150 people, and it's a party.
Yes.
There's entertainment, there's food, there's open bars, and it's casual. We're dressed like this. We're not dressed in tuxes and long dresses for the women.
I love Arab weddings.
It's so much fun.
I had the pleasure of going
so
one in Algeria. My brothers are Algerian. I went to a wedding. Rager.
It's a show. Yeah, it's a show.
So, and one of the reasons I think that we want to bring it up is because even at 350, 400, if not beyond, that new ballroom at Encore is one of the few places that really can host comfortably that amount of people. So I think that it's worth mentioning that if you are someone who has an ethnic background, or you just know, regardless of background, if you just have a large amount of people, it's one of the few options that you can actually bring that amount of people in, comfortably seat them, and have a fantastic evening.
Well, I'll tell you, we cracked into the Indian market.
Yep.
Over at Encore.
Dude, we do the sangeets. We do they call them the barat. And dude, we're out there in our trucks just banging music. Dude, they love that shit. It's fun. Dude, I love it.
This past Saturday, 550 person engagement.
Wow.
It wasn't the wedding. The wedding's going to be about 1,000 guests.
That's
550
awesome.
on an engagement, and it was like a wedding.
That's crazy.
Courtyard cocktail hour and, traditional ceremony.
Wow.
Ballroom dinner, dancing music till midnight, et cetera, et cetera.
Good for you.
That's incredible. Yeah, this guy. So
we'll take a couple more of those.
So transitioning into the star of this segment, similarly, it's all about honoring the family and tradition. So I was at the barbershop today, and I was talking with a gentleman who was going to a wedding in Canada, and we conversed about this topic, and I did my research, so I want to present it to you guys. I want to get some thoughts, and I want to explain it to viewers at home. Maybe this is an option for you. So in Canada, they have a stag in dough. Okay, if you guys are not familiar with the stag in dough,
I was not.
Either was I until I talked to this gentleman today. So the stag and dough is essentially a fundraiser precursor to the wedding. So, hey, we're getting married. We're going to throw a big party. You pay X amount of dollars, but we're going to provide you with things. Now, a portion of the profits will go to fund the wedding, which in other cultures, people are okay with that because family and friends, they're going to buy you gifts. They're, it's Americans that are kind of stingy. But you're not just giving money away, right? So in the stag and dough, and I was with the guy at the barbershop, so we focused on the stag part. So the way this guy broke it down to me, and I did my research to verify this, you're going to pay for entry. Inside, you can expect food, drinks, of course, but there's also going to be raffles and tickets and giveaways. So you're going to get access to baskets or, we're giving away a vacuum. Who knows, right? There's going to be music and dancing, obviously. But the part that I couldn't find online that piqued my interest the most,
shocker,
ear to the streets, is a lot of times at these stags, it's guys only, it's guy specific. So there's going to be tables there. There's going to be some blackjack tables. And probably why I didn't find this online is because it may or may not be illegal in Canada. There's going to be blackjack tables, maybe some craps tables. So the guys can go there, have some cigars, play the tables with their buddies, hang out. But also pushing it a bit further, I did hear that if you're at a stag only party, there's a exuberant amount of women that show up, particularly not the bridal party.
You're going to get us all in trouble, man.
Listen, I don't know.
You're giving away our fucking secrets here.
This is just what I'm hearing. So, and then they also have stag shops. So you go to these stag shops and you are able to pick out the things that you want, particularly for the stag. And then you could pick out stuff for the ladies involved as well. So what are your guys' thoughts and opinions on the stag? This is a Canadian-based tradition that I think is cool and could be welcomed here in America.
Okay, I have multiple opinions.
Let's hear it.
First and foremost, as far as the fundraising part, my buddies can go fuck themselves, okay? Like, I had to pay for my wedding. You got to pay for your wedding. I'm not funding anybody's wedding. Now, the other part...
You would want to attend a crazy party?
That sounds like a bachelor party. That part, as a married man, now is not as awesome as it would have been, but it probably was awesome because he was telling me that, like, these stag shops, you could go pick out the outfits that the women are going to wear.
Lingerie pieces.
Canada is just fucking going wild out there.
Dude, I think that's so sick. Imagine walking into the stag shop, you're like, That's next to nothing. We'll do those. 57 of those.
Yeah, I think if my wife found out we were in that business and hosting these types of parties, she'd be like, sell everything, we're out.
Well, maybe you leave the strippers at home. Maybe keep the poker tables. But I just think the general idea of a fundraiser.
Julia's like, if my man would do a fucking stag party.
Oh, hell no.
What?
I think it's weird to ask people for money.
Hell no.
No. Women's perspective, they're not going to like that, knowing that there's strippers.
Well, I got news for women. They're not going to like the regular ones either.
Well, that's why there wasn't too much history about it. What happened in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Well, I will say this. So one of the things that we try to do with this topic is, for as outlandish or outrageous as it may be, we want to present different ideas, thoughts, thought-provoking things that just get the groom involved. We've done everything from the styling of the groom to doing special dances for the females in the bridal party to customizations behind the tie. So anything that we can do to kind of get a groom interested, having a good time, excited about their wedding is something we like to present. So although this one being more of the outrageous type, there is a segment of population right now going like, fuck yeah, I'm having a stag party.
I think it's awesome. I think it's cool. I could see why it's not as attractive to a married man sitting at the table. But look, if you're that type of guy, go for it.
Yeah.
Have some fun. It's you're about to be locked up soon. You're about to be locked up soon.
It is a strange concept, but I can see for the Canadians are just earning some respect right now.
Dude, they are. The Canadians are moving up in the world rankings.
You okay, Julia?
So.
I'm thinking, like, if the guys have a stag party, then the girls should have the dough
Well,
party.
it's the dough party.
It is technically the stag and dough, but I wanted to leave the dough out because this is the no tux given.
Stag and dough, like that, like to me.
And I could also see somewhere in the universe with a stag party, the guys have the strippers, they have the tables, but if the girls have Magic Mike out there, it's a problem.
No, it's not.
It might be.
Wow.
I'll give you guys something. All right, give us something
for the guys.
for the no tux given concept. Because put yourself in these shoes. And we've done a few weddings like this. It's not built for everybody. Going back to, weddings are much more expensive than they used to be.
Yeah.
And a lot of that cost comes in, paying for them for cocktail hour food and obviously paying for their dinner, et cetera, et cetera. It's called the wedding crasher invite. You
I haven't heard of
invite
that.
all of your friends, all the drinkers, after dinner. A
Wow,
second invite goes out.
Is that a cost-saving mechanism?
Huge.
We actually talked about this in one of the episodes.
So okay, I can't say too much because some of these people I know and they're friends, but we've done weddings recently where what happened was, I feel like if you're going to do that, you have to tell your friends that they're the crasher, because there were people that came that did not realize that they were not invited for dinner, and it caused a big negative to do.
Oh, absolutely.
And you can't just invite 2 people. It's going to be awkward.
Yeah.
So I got to tell couples, if you're doing, you got to do it for at least 20, 30, 40, 50 people. They got to come as a group, feed them a late night snack, get them a bar for the last 3 hours, after party, everybody's happy.
I feel like
true.
under the right circumstance, I can see it being interesting, because like, if you're a young couple, you're 22, 23, getting married, and you know that like your asshole buddies are just, they're there for the party, and they're not going to appreciate the $100 a plate duet meal and all the stuff that goes into that. Like, I can see a world where it's like, you guys go to Burger King, and then when it's time to party, come on in.
That's exactly it.
However, that being said, you got to make sure that you have the right friends and family for that, because I could also see that. I see John shaking his head. We've discussed this. John just like, that's just.
I could see it going terribly wrong. Especially when, on the contrary to what you said, I think if you had 2 people that did that, they can kind of blend in. Nobody really noticed. But if you have a school bus dropping people off, it's like a grand entrance for the drunkies. And I don't know. I could see grand entrance. I got to introduce them as the DJs.
Well,
so.
it also runs into the issues, like, if they arrive early into that dinner hour,
awkward.
then what happens?
Oh,
they
man,
just
they're,
stand
like,
there
so
awkwardly
awkward.
watching people eat.
I'll
Like,
send
what
them
do
to the
they do?
restaurant.
So, that wraps up the No Tux Given. Every episode to the guys at home. We want to get you involved, because if you like us, your bride's going to like us, and we will be doing your wedding, potentially at the Aviator. So
There you go. So, getting ready shortly here to wrap things up, but I do have a couple things. So we went into in-depth on your properties, which I think, is what we wanted to do. But I did have 25 thought-provoking questions, really for all of us. To just to kind of be.
Wow.
We're not going to do 25.
We have time for that?
We don't have time for 25, but I do have a couple that I think that are interesting that I want to kind of pick out. And this one I think applies to all of us, regardless. So, what things can we do as wedding vendors to not have weddings feel cookie cutter. And I think that's an interesting take, because at the end of the day, you can easily describe a wedding: cocktail hour, dinner, formal dances, toast, party, and that's it. And it can start to feel pretty cookie cutter. Now, I'll start off by saying, you think the exact way that I think. So at some of your properties, you are providing things like you have your version of the photo booth. You've got cold spark fountains. Obviously, over at SPE, we do it all. We have literally dancing on the clouds effect. We've got CO2 cannons, motion monograms, obviously the cold spark fountains. We have audio guest books. These are the things that we can do to provide guests a different experience, or a unique experience that maybe they haven't seen before at other weddings. So that's one way that I know that SPE tries to do that. From a hall perspective, what do you guys try to do to kind of keep it fresh and not have it feel stale or cookie cutter?
Well, I'll give you one that just happened a few days ago. We booked a 4th of July wedding at Encore.
Okay.
Next year, which 4th of July falls on a Saturday next year, which is great. They're like, oh, we love
the
fireworks. So for me, I'm like, oh, no problem. I was like, we're going to go get you $4,000 or $5,000 worth of fireworks. 15 minutes before the party's over, we're going to send everybody out to the courtyard. We're blowing the fireworks off in the parking lot.
Oh, that's cool.
And we're going to give your guests
I like this guy.
That's cool.
fireworks show.
I got something I can tell you about that.
I like
So
that.
Nick's uncle and my good friend just recently took a full course to allow him to put on those exact type
like
of
the
shows.
actual, yeah.
So if you
super
need
cool.
a guy,
somebody,
we might know
I'll
you.
call you on that.
So I'll answer that question. I think another way that you can be less cookie cutter is you could ditch some of the traditions. You don't need a 7-tier wedding cake. I've seen brides, actually most recently at Via Roma, they ditched the wedding cake and they had a cookie cake.
Yeah.
I've seen brides cut a pie. I've seen
Pizza.
the Ukrainian
Pizza,
bread. Ditch some of the traditions and do what you want to do. Maybe skip some of the formalities and do like an anniversary dance or do the shoe game, do whatever you want. But I think that's a good way to make it less cookie cutter.
Photo and video, what do you got for me, Julie? Because the same poses, the same, transitions, what are we doing, but what are things that you've seen to kind of make things different, unique, fun, non-cookie cutter?
Things to be different is just doing more, I would say less posed, candid experiences for them, for photos. That way it reveals who they are, it's in motion. You don't get the same pose that you see all over Pinterest when you do that, because it's just naturally how it falls into place, what they do. Things like that, going out, doing sunset photos, you can do beautiful, gorgeous photos. I know it takes away from the reception, but it is a great time to do. A lot of couples don't do that. Even I had some couples that wanted an alone special photo shoot, like reserve time during the couple bridal party photos to go off and get some intimate photos of just them together. A special moment for themselves where it's just me and the couple capturing those moments.
You're saying they're doing some dirty photos?
Not dirty, but just like more intimate, where you don't really want anyone else there to see. Getting those very romantic photos, things like that. Going out to different locations instead of the typical locations are really fun. Going to places where they met, proposed, places they like to go to. Think of it more personalized than the typical, everyone likes to go to the art museum. We've seen that done thousands of times. But when you want to go to a really cute coffee shop or store or something rustic, vintage looking, and they're
like a
like,
warehouse.
hey, oh.
Got it.
Something like that creates it to be different and more unique to the couple.
Yeah.
Makes sense. And I think what we'll do is we'll end on this one because I think it's a good one for all of us. So on the ownership side, I want to talk about the challenges that you and I face to kind of pull back the curtain for brides about what it's like trying to manage a multi-op. So in your case, it's multiple properties. In my case, it's multiple DJs and videographers, photographers. And for you guys get to work for one of the largest multi-ops and all that. So that being said, obviously 3 venues is probably a great, feather in your cap. You get a lot of people saying, wow, congratulations, shaking hands, kissing babies, but I'm sure there's a lot of sleepless nights and long hours. So, what is, one of the challenges that you have faced or are currently facing or will continue to face?
Yeah, it's a great question. It's, it's making sure we're given the same experience every single time. period. Right. And you mentioned a lot of the, the Jens, the Jennas, the Tylers, the ones that have really been with us from day one of inception of Aviator. It's not me. They're the team that built that model that we can keep putting couples in regardless of venue. That's what keeps me up at night, is making sure everybody gets the same experience regardless of venue.
And same thing for me in that, I own a photo and video company. I know enough about these things to be dangerous, but like without a Julia to help me run that operation, without a Shane to do all of the editing and just all of the high-end cinematography work, without a Nick to be able to run a wedding with 300 people, have the confidence to be on a microphone, like it really, you can't do it by yourself. So you're only as good as the team you got around you. So 100%. I agree with that. And then from your guys' perspective, Nick, what do you got? Like what's your biggest challenge working for a multi-op?
I can't really say that I have big challenges besides knocking cakes over and being a little too arrogant.
You are arrogant, and you did knock a cake over.
But, I mean, realistically, I don't really have too many challenges. You provide great equipment. You provide the setting. You provide everything I need. You provide the connections to the halls. I literally just get to show up and be myself, which is what I like. So I can't have anything negative to say.
Great answer, Julia. Just say ditto.
Guess we're getting Christmas bonuses this year.
Overall, it's great. I know that it's very stable, that I'm there. The team is phenomenal. Everyone who I'm working with, who I'm working for, I love what I do. The equipment, phenomenal. I'd say there is some challenges being a multi-op, having a lot of photo weddings, even video on the with Shane and everything like that, and editing. It becomes like a lot to edit and do. So the challenge at first was trying to learn how to pace yourself to be able to edit so many weddings and keep up with that timeline and keep going. So it was a challenge figuring out like the perfect timeline, what works for me, and handling the edits, the emails, meeting with clients and things like that, getting the itineraries made. But once I figured out like what worked, then it was able to be cool, smooth, everything smooth sailing, no issues. But that was like the first challenge when I first started here. And I even started out here in the busiest season.
Yeah, you did get a bad time of year, but I'm glad it worked out.
I'll retract my previous statement.
Terrible.
Due to your nature of your personality, it's very similar to mine.
Handsome.
The struggle.
Smart.
I'm slightly more handsome, and a lot more smart.
It's debatable.
That's
definitely not
the
true.
combative nature. I'm just joking. It's not that serious, but just wanted some fluff for the cam.
Yeah, well, so I think it's always a good idea to kind of, these people come to us and, we're the expert in the room. So it's always a good idea just to kind of tell them like, hey, this is why we think the way we do. These are things that we're worried about. These are things that, this is how, you and I take care of our families, pay our mortgages. So I think that's always a good thing. But number one, I want to say thank you, Khadar. You gave us more than enough time today. So we're very appreciative of today. I can tell you that all of us are appreciative of the relationship that we've built. The venues are awesome. We really enjoy playing there. It's fantastic. For the stuff that we have to do for the camera, if you like what we're doing, please, like us, follow us, definitely subscribe.
Hit the notification bell on our videos because that makes a huge difference.
Notification bell. And honestly, like in the first 3 months of this, we're over 500,000 views now, which approaching 600,000. So our numbers look great. So we appreciate it. If you like what we're doing, you like the content that we're putting out, please let us know that. Yeah. Say stuff, good, bad, indifferent. We want to know. We see it all. We read it. We want to respond. All that.
I agree.
Good stuff,
and I do want to add, Khadar, you're very impressive. You seems like you have media training almost. So I do want to commend you for putting on 3 great venues. I'm expecting other great things from you. I think it's phenomenal. And just job well done. No Diddy.
I appreciate you guys. Thanks for having me.
No problem. And I will say that we can't say too much, but there's probably some surprises coming soon. So this guy, there's always some up his sleeve. So with that being said, it's just a wedding podcast. Out.
It's just a wedding podcast.